Part 42, Pain Area, 5th floor, second half, let's go. Continuing on from where we were. But I was right, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I was right, it just ended up being longer than the first game's Pain Area. Because in my blind playthrough, the boss of each floor all took far longer, which is why I assumed it would be so many more parts. I expected this to actually potentially be 10 parts. With it being one part all the fights, one part the bosses at the end. Especially that after that first one. So that very first one, if you can't break that 9,999 defense threshold, that fight takes a lifetime. It genuinely takes forever because it has so much health and you do 0 to 1 damage per strike. That's just the randomizer of what number it chooses. Only if you get a critical hit will it maybe sometimes do more. So the fact that this is only going to be 6 videos in the end to cover the whole Pain Area is an absolute lifesaver for me. It's very much appreciated, which means I can go into next week not worrying about just how much more Pain Area there's left to do. I'm done after this video. But it's a similar setup at this point. There's that fucking dragon and it's healing again. Every enemy you're gonna fight in here you've pretty much seen. You got the giant hornet men that will heal themselves and then just pick on Liliana apparently. No, it's just that the way that AI works. They do have a gimmick with the AI in some of the later parts of the Pain Area, where it will force the enemy to move so many steps before it chooses its targeting, to try and disrupt the strategy of making the enemies only target one person. Because like as I've always said, the way the AI programs its targeting, it'll either target the closest or target people who are together. And so in this situation, Liliana's the closest, so they're targeting them. But as you saw there, after every turn, before it took its turn, it moved a few steps. That is to try and disrupt it a little bit. You'll notice as well in some of the other fights, it'll be a little later on, but they will actually move quite far for just to attack again. Like they will travel about halfway across the screen before they reset their programming. And it's to try and stop that strategy of having one character make themselves invulnerable or extremely resistant to damage, and then have them be central tank. But you see, the problem here right now is because... Oh! What if that didn't miss? If that didn't miss, Mai was dead. And this fight would have started to fall apart quite grandly because Liliana's not in glitch form either, and we really need her in glitch form so she can survive something. But you also need her to do a Fearless Sight and maybe Naigus Absorb just so we can survive this. And eventually, yeah, this is how I cave in. It's like we picked up a patch 666, which is a full group wide heal, and I'm like, you know what, I want to survive this. I don't want to do this again, so I'm going to use one of those items. This is the last challenge of the game, so like any JRPG, feel free to use those really powerful items if you so need to. Don't hold back on them because you're like, no, I might need them for later. No, this is the later. If you didn't use them during the final boss, this is when you're going to be using them, so feel free. There's me getting angry again. Well, I mean, it's funny for me to look back on, but at the time I was furious that they kept on doing this. Like, I know they can do it, but it doesn't stop it being extremely frustrating that when they do it. I don't know. But I will be covering more JRPGs after this, of course I will. It's my favourite genre. It's just what I end up... Oh, God! It's just what I end up covering. What I want to find out is if you record a PS4 backwards compatible game off the PS5, will it ignore the original blocked scenes margin? Because there's a lot of games that have blocked scenes or blocked moments, and some games it's literally the entire game is a blocked cutscene, like Tales of Berseria and Persona 5 Base. And so it's like, I would love to be able to cover them at some point. To be fair, if I ever went to cover Persona 5, I'd probably cave into a playthrough of Royal and then do the Let's Play of that. I just haven't got around to playing Royal yet. But if it does ignore it and I can cover it freely, to be honest, the first thing I'll be doing is Tales of Berseria, because I think that's an extremely underrated Tales of game. And I get why. It's because like the Tales of series was kind of dwindling and stumbling over itself, so when there's one that's actually really fucking brilliant that came through, everyone just kind of missed it. Especially because it was like the second half of a two-parter. Well, I say it's a prequel game and you can very much enjoy it as its own beast. There's just a couple references that might go over your head. But it's like if you played Zesteria was not good. Like, I really did not like that one at all, but Berseria afterwards was so god tier. It was so fun and like just genuinely really enjoyable with an amazing story, and I really want to cover it. Also, there's now a slightly stronger variant of the Moth. They have the same setup, it's just their stats are rearranged. They're less evasive, more defensive. But on the plus side is they're slightly slower, so we actually get to go first. So I get to make sure they're dead before it can get any of the buffs out. Which is why, last part, I was like, oh, that's kind of like they were the last ones. It's because the slight stat rearrangement makes the rest of them kind of not a problem. Because you can go first, so you can stop them before they are. So it's like that was like the last one that was a considerate threat, I guess. But the Rhino fuck's still in here. Which, like I said, can instant kill a member of the party if given the chance to. Which is why I was very grateful that it decided to target the person I just made invincible. That is something I'm grateful for, because back when like Death End 2 was like about to make the rounds, there are some skills from the first game that I'm like, they're either going to nerf this or get rid of it. And to be fair, all the stuff I thought they were going to nerf, they did. Aster-League is not the massacre tool it used to be. Aster-League was your go-to physical skill in the first game of Celica because it just ripped the shit out of whatever was in front of you. It was baffling how much damage that attack did. But they did nerf it. If you use Aster-League now, well, first only Liliana's got it, and Liliana's not the strongest of the group, but you'll see it just doesn't rip the damage it used to. Yeah, I don't know how Cobalt Bullet slipped through the grinder and is as powerful as it is in the right hands, but it is what it is. And also, that's what I meant. You see how that enemy, that Hornet guy there, like he attacked Liliana once and then he backed right off in between Rotti and Mai before his AI programming reset. That's what I mean, like of how they will force the enemies to walk around to disrupt you. And I hope the third game does it more. I would love for the like more normal enemies to have little things like that, even early on, just to try and make you like challenge what you know, challenge your strategies. Because it's not like going from Death End 1 to Death End 2, I had a lot of criticisms with the gameplay formula that I wanted to see addressed and altered in some way, or some form or fashion. But going from the second to a third, I don't really have any criticisms for 2, really. Like 2's actual core gameplay, they did so much to clean it up and fix it. The only thing I'd maybe like to see come in is the third game, is like some of the extra tools, because there's no code jacking, there's no summons, and there's no genre shifting. And it's like, code jacking, that doesn't need to come back because they integrated it into the moveset. Like, being able to shift the padagrams, or whatever they're called, that's fine. Being able to do that as a skill, yeah, we don't need the code jack for that. Having a glitch form code jack is something that I miss, though. Having something where you could manually alter, increase or lower your own glitch through it, that was beautiful. Especially when you got the one like in like chapter 6 or 7, where you got the ability to increase your own glitch, and you just immediately upgraded it so you could just give yourself 50% glitch whenever you wanted. That was such a godsend skill. It was such a lifesaver to have that. But at the same time, I kind of get why they didn't really keep it in this one, because they got rid of the whole glitch resistance system, which I'm grateful for, because that was kind of annoying. When you take a glitch spot, it'd be like, glitch percentage 50%, you'd be like, oh sweet, you touch it and you got by 1 because your glitch resistance is too strong. Like, getting rid of that, so if it says it goes up by 50%, it goes up by goddamn 50% each time. It makes a difference. It really does. It really does. I like what they've done that, so I can see why they haven't really kept them around. So code jacking as a whole, I don't know. I can't really expect it to come back. Genre shift. The problem with genre shift in the first game is that all of them either didn't control well or were broken as shit. The shooting one especially. Even on PC, that thing was a nightmare to aim. Like, it's because it was just so poorly handled. And but then you got on the other side of it, the platforming one, which is literally a guaranteed win if you can do a basic mini game of balancing. Because it slightly like nudges you to the side after every single head stomp. So you just course correct constantly, and literally everything in the game will die eventually. But that's it. It's why I didn't like refrain from using it in the final boss, really. because you can just I stopped. I stopped for a second. That was me putting my controller down for a second. Like, are you serious? Not only did the dragon heal them up, but then the fucking wasp thing has topped himself up, so they're both fully healed. Like, the plus side is that they've used their heal, so they won't do it again. But Mate, you can see I'm annoyed by that. Like, I'm taking my sweet time now. But like, yeah, the genre shift, like, if they don't bring that back in the third one, I won't lose sleep over it, because I think if they did, they would have to rework it a lot. They would have to really, really rebalance it and rework it, because they're either too weak or too strong. Then there's no real in between. But I liked the idea of it. I just completely understand why they didn't bring it over to this one, because firstly it wouldn't make sense considering we're not in the digital world like we was in the first game. But even if they just said, ah, fuck it, like they did, you know, with the whole first game's cast being playable through digital clones, like, even if they did, it's like, I still don't think it would have worked. Like, I don't know, that's one of the things. If it doesn't come back in 3 as well, I really won't lose sleep over it. It would just be nice to see them try it again with more experience at some point. Summons is the only thing I would definitely like to see come back. That as well, I think, needs to be slightly reworked, because you use the summons more for the buff that came with them and less the actual summon. And I think it needs to feel like there's a reason to actually summon them, but at the same time, then it goes back into that power balance of you don't want to make them too powerful. Like, for me personally, and I know this is just talking because I'm a Final Fantasy fan, but I'd take a page out of, like, classic Final Fantasy's book and make it when you summon, it's just a one-off special attack. The enemy comes in, does like a fancy animation, then leaves immediately. And maybe afterwards leaves a residual buff on the party for like a turn or two. Like, if say you have like some speed demon, it comes in and like hits the entire enemy group for like several weak attacks. Let's say it like hits every enemy 5 times, but they're not like super strong attacks, so it's like balanced out. But then after it leaves, the rest of the party has like 3 turns speed boost. That kind of thing. Also, this is here's the pointless camera. Legitimately, there's no reason for this camera. There's not a code on the wall, there's no chests you can unlock, there's nothing. Even to be sure, off screen, after that enemy's defeated, I went back to that computer and checked to see if the enemy was just blocking a chest that couldn't be seen on the camera. No, that camera is 110% useless. The only reason I think it's there is because it's showing you what ahead of time what the first of the 2 quote-unquote boss encounters of this area is. Because there are technically 2 boss encounters. But the reason why I say technically is because the second one's the actual boss. The first one is just a unique enemy. But it's not really a boss fight, it's just a unique enemy. In fact, I would argue it's the easiest fight on this floor. I've always just treated that fight as the breather to the actual main event at the end. And the relaxer after everything you've gone through, because it is not a difficult fight. And you see, I'm trying to be careful here, because these are all the pink ones, which actually hurt you a little bit. Not as bad as like a landmine, which, speaking of, have you noticed that we haven't seen a landmine in like forever going through the pain area? When was it? Oh god, there it is! 5,617 damage. Glitch form and had half damage because of the Felsight, and she just got one tapped. Like, that's what I mean. That's why you gotta be so wary of those rhino things that I was on about before, because they are just so insanely powerful. The raw damage they can just throw out at you is baffling. I say that too much, raw damage. But it's just without any buffs or anything, the actual number they will give you in one attack. Look, there's 6,141. She's dead again. Like, the only reason Rossi survived that is because she's sun element and it was a sun attack. So she had natural homebrew, like a kind of resistance to it. That's literally the only reason Rossi is alive. If Rossi was any other element, she would be dead as well. But Mai just got demolished. And to be fair, Mai is star, so she is weak to sun, so of course it's going to do even more damage. But that is still like, ooh. That's numbers you don't want to see. Oh, she's dead again. And there's the problem though. If a character's not in glitch form, they're way too vulnerable. And you're kind of seeing it now in effect. Like, I always mentioned it before with Liliana, but it's this when like Liliana lost her glitch form, was getting decked every turn. But it is always that thing. If you do not have your entire cast in glitch form like permanently, they are way too vulnerable. And keep in mind we passed the soft level cap, so leveling is not an issue. Because leveling up any further at this point only ups your health by fractions. Your level completely stops mattering after 99. Which, to be fair, like of all the Idea Factory games that I can think of that have had level caps be more than 99, this game it feels like it's the least significant. Like at least in like say Neptunia, they will marginally boost as like a substat or something like that. So it's like you do still get stronger, it's just nowhere near to that extent. In Death End, it's literally your max health goes up slightly and that's it. So if you want 9,999 health points, well actually I don't even know if you can, because your health goes up by so little per level. If you hit 999 you might hit it, but I'm not sure. Not that I've done it. There is yet to be a single Idea Factory game that I have pushed for the hard level cap, or even got close. The furthest I got is actually the two Death End games, because both of them after the Pain area, you're such a stupidly high level. If you did the Pain area like another 2 or 3 more times beyond that, you'd probably be 999. I just can't be bothered. There isn't, at least yet, I doubt there will be, but there isn't any, there's me getting angry again, that they're fucking healing. But there isn't any like DLC dungeons in this game like there was the first game, which I also think it was a bit of a missed opportunity. Like I know it would just probably be reusing more assets, or like just extend a part of the town, but it still would have been nice, you know, like to just have a little extra on the side. Because this game, like outside of the actual proper side quests you get from the shopkeep, doesn't have any real side activities. Like there's nothing like on the side path that you really want to go out of your way to do, like the first game had with the side quest with the weird like pixel soldier and the DLC stuff. And I get a lot of it is just down to the fact that they wanted to shrink down the scale on this one to make it more of a personal one, and I'm eternally grateful for it because I think it did better for it. But it's just something I'd like to see. Like I'd like to see the third game be the best of both worlds. I'm willing to bet the third game will be going head first back into the absolute insanity of the plot that is that first game's ending, and be spending a lot more time going back into the fantasy side of things and less about the rural towns and such. But still, it would be nice if they can still kind of not go overboard to scale, but then just flesh out the smaller details in the world. Like whatever environment we go and explore, make it so there's more to do than just do the main plot. Because I criticised it before as well, that Death End 2's world, as much as I appreciate the smaller scale, there's no denying the fact it's far more linear than Death End 1. And Death End 1 was pretty linear anyway, but there was a lot more open spaces, like exploring out a dungeon or exploring out this ruins of a town where there were off-beaten paths and alternate routes and different things that just led to nowhere. Like there was more exploration, whilst in Death End 2 it's a lot more by the numbers. It's you just go through each environment until you reach the end. But something else I would like, and whilst I've still got time, this is what I was on about, the kind of first boss fight but not, because this is a unique enemy, but it's the easiest fight on this floor in my opinion. All 3 of these guys in this fight aren't difficult. Well, maybe that super big dragon at the end can hit pretty hard if you allow it, but it won't take much. I guarantee you this fight will be a breeze compared to what you've gone through. But something that I think would be kind of nice, and it's more just like, it'd 110% just be fan service, but I don't care. I think for how complicated and how committed you have to kind of be to this series to understand every single little detail, they can throw us a bone. Have something. Oh, sorry, my throat went for a second. Have something in the end game make us go to an area in either the first game or this game, just for a small thing. Personally, I think it would actually be better to go to the first game, because the second game, Leshiora, I think as an entirety, there's nothing more to tell in this town alone. Like, other than maybe looking back more on the history of the demon cult, which they might do, but I think I don't think they will. I don't think that's what the priority is. I don't think we'll be coming back to Leshiora at all. We might come back to it in cutscenes to see what's going on and see how the lives of the children here are going, which would be nice just to have like a catch-up. Like if the sequel's based like another year or 2 later, kind of like how this game is based a few years after the first, it would be nice to see how all those kids grew up. to see what became of some of the kids. I'm trying to think of names. Abigail. Abigail's the name I was looking for. See what became of Abigail, because she was on her last year. She was about to leave because she'd got a job and a home in another country. That could be an excuse for us to bump into her at some point along the way in Japan, because off the top of my head, she could go anywhere, I think. Like, I don't think they ever specified exactly where it was she was going, so they could just say, oh, well, she ended up in Japan. We could see, like, Sarah actually take charge in her place. We could see what happened to all the younger kids, like Sarah with an S. And how they grew up and what became of them afterwards. Now Vena's alive, we can maybe see her go through more character development, because the only thing she got at the ending was like basically like a sixth sense telling her to be good. It's like, I got this in the back of my head that I shouldn't be an arse. That was like it. And I get it, because they wanted to have show some kind of character development for every single character that was there. But Vena died night one, so what were they going to do really? And like even like Victoria and Chitsuba, it seemed like their relationship is a bit more wholesome and a bit more natural, and not as crazy as it was. This fight's already nearly over, but I would just like a sliver. I don't want them to go overboard, but I don't really like it when games go overboard with fan service. There are exceptions. There are some games that, like Metal Gear Solid 4 is always a prime example of what I mean, where it's like that game, Metal Gear Solid 4 was so interwoven in its own insanity that you weren't getting it unless you played the other ones, and so they knew you'd been there in the long run anyway, so they just kind of played up to it. And yes, you can see what our boss fight is. The final boss of the pain area is an Aooni. But first, a cutscene. We've got to see how Roso's doing. Kajin to Roso? Right on time. He's covered in wounds. Is he okay? Kajin to Roso, are you okay? We'll help you. Stay back. This is my battle. Huh? This is for archaeology. If you want the Roso, now you got him. Excuse me? How neat. Yeah, it sure is something. Huh? I don't get it. How is it neat? Am I the weird one here? Am I the weirdo? Wait, don't go. I didn't need help. This is just my prey, got it? Sorry, not at all. My hands are full dealing with this one. I'll leave the other ones to you ladies. Huh? How polite of you. Sorry I can't protect you. Live! With passion. It's a Roso way. Could you shut up for a moment? Ah, jeez. Either way, let's defeat these guys for now. Rossi, Liliana, let's go. Be careful. Yeah, let's go. I'll do my best.
Oh, a save point.
Right. And it just plays the normal battle theme. Not even a boss theme for this guy. Come on. But the Aooni, look at those. Look at that. 9,999 attack and defense. 4,000 magic attack, and I think the rest was 2,000. But as much as that 9,999 attack will be intimidating, you've got two party members that can make themselves invincible, and you can half all damage that hits you through False Light. And there's gold spots around here, so you can have your third member be invincible for a while as well. And there's white spots in here, so you can get the all boost, so your stats are super strong. Do not worry about this fight. Like, this can be a difficult fight if you run out of resources, solely because this thing takes forever to kill. And you're going to see I'm trying to set up a wall bounce, which is why I'm not having them attack here, because I don't want to knock it back. I want to set it up in a way so it's stuck in the three of us. And the reason why you want to do this immediately is because you don't want to knock it into glitch spots. Other glitch spots. You're going to want those glitch spots for the free heals and the free SP restoration, so you're not using items as much. But I'm pretty much just going to have Liliana be on defense duty for the entirety of this. So I get myself a slight boost, and then I'm back to it.
Here we go. Woohoo!
The only thing you need to be wary of, and you'll notice it as soon as it drops, if we don't have the all boost, physical attacks will not hurt this thing, because we'll drop below the line. And so you're going to see for a while we're doing alright, and then eventually there'll just be a turn where Mai does like no damage, and it's just because the all boost faded, and I didn't notice and had another turn, so I had to go try and sort out something else to make it last. There's other golds over there, so it's not the end of the world. You just got to be wary that you will start running out eventually. And I use it a bit haphazardly for how much health this thing's got. You should be using the glitch spots a lot more sparingly than I do. I just want to make sure I can do this comfortably and show you a good way of doing it, and the best way of handling it is exactly what you're seeing here. Is just corner the thing and do not let it bounce against glitch spots, so you can end up wasting them. And for some reason, every now and then, this thing will just do nothing. It's appreciated, but for the ultimate super boss of the game, it's not... I say that the ultimate super boss of the first game wasn't too interesting either, but for the ultimate super boss of the game, it's kind of underwhelming. Like, at least in the first game, even if the ultimate super boss of that I felt was also pretty easy and underwhelming, that thing at least had a gimmick where if you did the same attack twice, it would counter it. So you had to go, like, rotate through almost every single skill in your arsenal to survive. That was cool. I liked that idea. I liked that gimmick. This thing doesn't have a gimmick. It's just a giant damage sponge that can hit you back really hard if you let it. Which is why you can see I have Liliana on guard duty for pretty much the entirety of this. I don't really have her do anything else. Oh, Wave of Darkness. That does hurt if it hits you, but it decided to target Liliana with it, you know, the invincible one, because IR smart. And so I just have her boost herself again. Something I would like in the next game is a provoke skill. Just putting it out there, I would love a provoke based skill in the next game. But I like the way they handle it in this, with the whole proximity targeting, or if they're close together, target them instead. But being able to have a skill that would make it so enemies would ignore that and only target that character could lead to some really interesting strategies in this kind of game. And then you see that the all boost faded, and so the only thing that did damage was the critical hit, because the critical hit went above the damage number. The rest didn't, so I was like, oh, I need to go see if I can find another all boost to try and clean her up. As I know, the gold one's invincibility. It's the pure white one I need to look for. Oh, look at that. It hits the whole... Oh. So now I'm on the lookout. I'm like, is there another all white out here? There isn't. So I'm like, well, at least I picked up another invincibility, but... Now you're gonna see me kind of like, fine, let's just magic boom it. So it gets good damage out of that, we just don't get the luxury of a good wall bounce, unfortunately. Still have her on buffing. Really, if you run out of glitch spots, don't put Liliana on healing, because her priority should still be keeping the buff up. Have Rotzi take over healing because of the Veet healing skill, the one that does 9,999 health back to the party. Because if you're doing this strategy, they'll be in range anyway, so you don't need to worry about it. But personally, I think that would be your smartest ploy. That'd be your best bet. Alternatively, if you're willing to take the risk, it might not be a bad idea to use the Patagram Shift, just on the off chance it makes them all white. It's not likely, it'll probably turn it into magic ones, because that seems to be the top priority. But it might be worth doing it if you're feeling unconfident, but as you can see, this thing's already nearly done. I do think this thing has the ability to heal itself, but it's not going to mean that much. Doesn't mean the strategy's going to change. The only thing that will be a worry is when your glitch forms start running out. You're like not under like a hard time limit, but there is definitely like a soft time limit piece to it, where if you all run out of glitch forms, this thing is going to be difficult to survive. So I'm just taking it very safe and very slow right now, but I have to be very wary that eventually we're going to be in trouble. You see, it's nearly dead. I can't remember if it actually gets away with healing or not. I know it can. Maybe that was it trying, sort of like how the dragon was trying, but it didn't get it straight away. But it's so nearly dead. It's got like a pixel left. No, we definitely kill it because it doesn't heal, but it can heal. And we can kill this thing in its hideous face. Just to be on the safe side, I buffed the glitch form as well around the place, just to make sure. So just in case it survives it, Rotzi doesn't lose her glitch form.
What's up with this guy?
But now looking at it, I'm like, okay, no, this thing's not surviving that. That's barely anything. Just finish it off with style. Like, I just disagreed with myself because I was like, no, that thing is... There's no way that thing is living this. It's dead. So look at this fucking thing. This looks so dumb. Look at this. Like, oh, God. And then for added flavour, some knockbacks. And there you go. If you've got this far, congratulations. You've defeated Death End 2's pain area. For all it's worth. Your reward is the God Hair's ornament, which is a plus 50 to all stats. And that's it. You get nothing else. There's a cutscene, but you get nothing else reward-wise. Literally, that's it. And you see, it's not even as good as the stuff I've already got, because all of the other stuff is so much more prioritized. So I'm like, that is all you get. It's literally a worse reward than the first game. Death End 2's pain area feels more like an afterthought than the first game's, despite the fact they added gimmicks and such to it. It just feels like it's so less than the first one. Oh, and the fact it's got cutscenes. This is the final strike! Ugh! Whew. We got through somehow. Young ladies, you alright? Yeah, somehow. What was that just now? There must be some abyssal guardians protecting these ruins. They were fearsome. These guardians pose a great threat. I can't believe you ladies were able to stop him so easily. Is that supposed to be a compliment? With this, I'm one step closer to completing my research. Looks like I can say goodbye to this place for now. What? Farewell, young ladies. May fate bring us together again one day. Don't forget the Rosso way. Thanks, Rosso. See you next game, because we didn't learn anything about that guy. He disappeared. Could he be a ghost? Wait just a moment. You said all you wanted to say and you're just going to disappear? I still wanted to ask. Ah, jeez. Huh? Are you kind of sad, Mai? Of course not. Men are strange. But there is so much mystery to uncover in this world. Yeah, that man is definitely strange. But if you go to leave, that's it. There's no special screen. There's no special anything. This loading screen is taking us back to town. And if you re-enter the pain area, it's just all the enemies are respawned. You can do it again if you feel like. That's it. But anyway, that's it for the pain area. All that's left is cleanup, which I don't know how many videos that will be, but I'll be doing that next week. So, next time on Death End Request 2, we'll be doing that, starting our cleanup. But until then, you guys take care now. Enjoy our end levels for the end of all of that. 210 and 2208s. Oh.